Welcome everyone to a special conversation on the green. My name is David Eisner.
And I'm Avery Saltzman, and we are the co-artistic directors of the Harold Green Jewish Theatre Company. Theater connects us all and gives context to who we are as individuals and as a society. At the Harold Green, we look at the Jewish story in all its facets, one of which is our people overcoming oppression throughout history.
Tonight, we connect you to another story of overcoming oppression, this time in our own country and from the indigenous perspective. The residential schools and the horrific discovery of mass children's graves have been prominently in the news and unfortunately have started to fade out of the front pages.
Our Jewish values of compassion and justice and the importance of embracing our past connects us as a people. Today, we invite you to connect to another story of oppression, a time in our history that we as Canadians must also never forget.
We would like to thank Jen Green for spearheading this important discussion and helping to bring it to fruition. Leading our conversation will be Leora Schaefer, Executive Director of the Canadian Office of Facing History and Ourselves. And our special guest is Elder Shirley John.
So thank you so much. And now here is Jen Green to say a few words and to introduce our guests.
Thank you, David and Avery. In a moment, I will turn over the program to Leora Schaefer, Executive Director of Facing History and Ourselves, to formally open our program and introduce Elder Shirley John. Elder Shirley, before we begin, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time and energy with us today. It is extremely important to us that our audience hears your story and the story of so many of our Indigenous brothers and sisters. Many people say that what happened to you is an ugly part of our history. But the reason it's so important for us to discuss this here today is because it's not just part of our history. The Indigenous people of Canada continue to be in the shadow and face hardships. Whether we're talking about a lack of access to clean drinking water, or discrimination faced in the child welfare, healthcare, education, employment, or in the justice system, Indigenous people across Canada continue to face injustice. This group's customs and traditions allowed them to thrive on this land for over 10,000 years before Europeans even arrived on this territory, only a few hundred years ago. My grandfather, Holocaust survivor Nate Leipziger, has spoken about his experience in the Holocaust alongside residential school survivors, including the late Elder Theodore Fontaine, and has long been an ally to the Indigenous community. He notes that there are commonalities in the experiences of Holocaust survivors and residential school survivors. As the granddaughter of a Holocaust survivor, I believe it is important that we stand up for those who are victims of their circumstance. My Zeta always explains that he was forced to face the horrors of the Holocaust simply because he committed the crime of being born Jewish in Eastern Europe in 1928. The Indigenous people of Canada faced unspeakable hardships, including being forcibly removed from their homes and families and forced into the residential schools, the horrors of which are just beginning to be widely exposed. The original inhabitants of this land became victims of their circumstances. Our Canadian government created systems to break down the Indigenous way of life and force the children to live like the European settlers. Our government tried to erase their culture and identities. I'm so grateful that we have Elder Shirley here today to share her personal story with us. As Canadians who are aware of this history, of the current plight of the Indigenous people, and who are capable of organizing ourselves, mobilizing community, and making noise, it is high time that we use our voices to amplify those of the original inhabitants of this land and help the Indigenous people of Canada. I now turn it over to you, Leora.
Thank you so much, Jen, for the lovely introduction and for your work with the Harold Green Jewish Theatre to make this important program possible. I'm joining today from Toronto on Treaty 13 territory. Given this program is hosted by the Harold Green Jewish Theatre, I thought it might be appropriate to think about the connections that the Jewish community has to this land. Members of the Jewish community and our ancestors have come to this country from many different places. Like Jen's grandfather, Nate, often escaping persecution and arriving as refugees. Our presence on this land may go back hundreds of years, and the traditions that we have brought from various places around the world are relatively new in the long history of this place. It is the traditions, customs, languages, and ways of life of the indigenous peoples that were the first to flourish on this land, and these ways of life continue today. Toronto, where Jen and I reside and where the Harold Green Jewish Theatre works, is on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat peoples, and is a gathering place for many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. It is my great honor to introduce Elder Shirley John, who will be speaking shortly. I am blessed to know Grandma Shirley. As an organization, our teachers and our staff, myself included, have learned so much from her. Elder Shirley is a fluent speaker of the Anishinaabe language. She speaks through her interactive teachings, sharing her passion of the love of creation and her love for the water to numerous organizations and conferences throughout Turtle Island. Over the years, she has been a visiting elder with Georgian College, sharing her personal guidance and traditional teachings, and a longtime friend to the friendship movement. She is also an elder for the Facing History online course, in which teachers learn about how to teach about the residential schools, and has spoken at many of our teacher programs. Grandma Shirley has walked with her lifelong partner for 42 years and she shares the joys of the Anishinaabe way of life. So this is a tobacco tie, which is offered to an elder when one makes a request. So this offering of tobacco has changed during the pandemic. And since I can't offer tobacco in person, last week I tried to send Elder Shirley a tobacco tie in hopes that she would have it with her today. But unfortunately, it didn't arrive. And so I'll offer this tobacco tie and this tobacco to you, Elder Shirley. I offer you this tobacco on behalf of myself and Jen and the Harold Green Jewish Theatre, in hopes that you'll share of yourself, your voice, and your experiences today with the group who has gathered virtually. I know that this sharing takes a lot out of you, and so I also hope that this tobacco is a comfort to you as you speak. Miigwech, Shirley, and I turn this over to you.
Thank you, Leora. Ani bojo, meshkozit yapskizit grandish nakas, and Gabnando Dam, she cannot know it, and my spirit is the grizzly bear. My name is Strong Like Buffalo Woman. I'm from the Loon clan. My helper is the turtle, and not the spirit of the grizzly bear. The name I walk with each and every day is Shirley John, a name that was given to me by my grandmother many, many years ago. And to my husband, I've been married. We've been together for 54 years now. And it's my life, my everything. So I'm grateful that I have a partner that walks with me, my husband, in a good way each and every day. And to my daughter and grandson and two great grandchildren. So I am really grateful in many ways to all people of all walks of life. As you can see behind me is the four colors that represent the Anishinaabe people, the yellow people in the east, the black people in the west, and the white people in the north. I give thanks for all of that, and including the LGBTs are also in all those colors. So we give thanks for all nations and all walks of life that have come into my life and into your life, that they walk with us each and every day, and give them the teachings that they need to know about what has happened in the residential school system. And in the beginning of time, at the age of 8 going on 9, is when I was taken to residential school, not knowing where I was going to go. As you can see in the background, I have my number there, and also a picture of myself as a little girl, and a book of stolen history and sorry from the United Church of Canada, and a big display of the ones from my community that went to residential school in Spanish Ontario, Canada, which is near Blind River. It's a long, long ways. I didn't know where I was going when I was picked up from my home, from my yard. All I can remember is actually I still live on this property where it began. My story began many years ago. It's not often I think about that this is where I was picked up. I don't go there. I know that it's in my mind, in my heart, and in my spirit. And it was a day of crying when we were in the car. As you can see, one of the pictures sometimes, as you see different pictures of the residential school children crying and being taken away. Well, that could have been me in that car, crying my eyes out and whatnot. So you know that it is a very painful time because you're separated now. You're separated from your family. My brother was at home. He was the only one that was left. He was at home. He didn't go. They didn't catch him. So my two sisters were already gone. One of them been there quite a few years by then. And we traveled, and we never knew how far we were going. I don't even remember what we took, like clothing and that. I don't remember. Maybe just a small bag of clothes or something. I don't know. It seems to be was not important for me at that time, and it's something now that's just coming back into the picture. It's only been about since I've been working with Leora that we started doing this work together, that the residential school piece is now coming open. But before then, it was in the back of my mind always, never talked about at home. My mom, she never talked about it. She never talked about how she felt. I never asked her how she felt. I didn't think it was important, being that young and didn't go that long, but still, I was gone for a whole year from her, being absent. And plus her other daughter, that's my middle sister, and her oldest daughter that's already gone on. So you know that we never talked about, my mom never talked about, my sisters never talked about it. I don't know why. I never asked why. I just seen the behaviors in that. But before I even go into that, I'm going to start just continuing my journey to Spanish Ontario. At that time, I didn't even know I was going to Spanish. I didn't know how far it was. As a little kid, you don't know how far you're traveling. You're just riding and riding, crying for your parents, crying for your siblings, crying for everything that's not there anymore. The property that you played on, your hunting grounds, your background, where you play with the community kids and that. That's a big, big loss in a child's life. And so as we got closer, because it's about an 8-10 hour drive, back in the day when cars were a little bit slow at that time, in 1956. The cars, I don't think were going back that fast, not how fast they go now. So you know the cars, not too many on the road and that. We finally arrived in Spanish, the residential school where I attended for 1 year. And across the way was where the boys' school was. That's where the boys were dropped off from our community. And they dropped us off at the girls' school. And once we got in there, we're segregated by everybody else. It's like we're in a single file now. We're being brought in. It's almost like you're in the meat department. One by one, they take your clothes off, all your clothes that you have on. And once they've done that, they go into your hair and put stuff in there to kill the bugs, to kill the lice, which we never had. We were clean people. We took a bath at home each and every day. We made sure our hair was washed and nice and clean, clothes all the time. So how can we have bugs in our hair? But this is what they did. And once they put all that stuff in our hair, that is when they cut our hair. It's like putting a bowl on top of my head and just making a circle right around. That's what it looked like. For a whole year, that's what I looked like. my hair cut like that. And all my hair was long, and all that was cut off. And now when I try to grow my hair, it'll grow. Like it's a nice length right now, but I can't go any further than that. And now I used to have curls in my hair, and they were chopped off, and I lost my curls. But once they've done that, they put you in a tub. There's a whole bunch of tubs there. It's like going into a hospital room where they have these little cubicles with curtains all around. They put you in this tub. They leave you in there forever and ever for a long time. They give you a little cloth to wear on your private parts. That's all. And the water's getting cold and cold. And you ask to be taken out, but they don't listen to you. So you're sitting in that tub freezing. You can't get out of there. Because if you do, you're in trouble. You're going to be in some kind of big trouble. So once they finally take us out of the tub, that's when they tell us to put our night clothes on. And then find our bed, our little bunk bed. Either you're on a bunk bed or you're on a single bed. I was on a little single cot, and the others were in bunk beds. My sister was way over there someplace. I don't know how many beds ahead on, I guess, I don't know if it's my right or left, but anyway, she was over there. And I was so cold that night. I was freezing to death. I cried and I cried and I cried and I cried. And if I was at home, I would not be freezing. My mom wouldn't let me do that. She would not let me freeze. But in that school system, this is what they did to us. And we only had one blanket, which I call a horse blanket. It's an itchy blanket. That's what we have to cover with. And you find the time to actually fall asleep because you're exhausted from the tears, from the crying, from wanting to go and sleep with your sister. You asked to go and sleep with your sister, but no way. Once I got there, I did not touch my sister. I saw her in various places. I could not go and see her. And nowadays, you can go and sleep with your sister if you want. And nobody's going to stop you. And in the morning when you wake up, you start all over again. Wash your face, wash your hands, put your clothes on, day clothes on, put your uniform on. It's like a big apron that we have to wear on top of our clothes. That's how we walked around all day long. Then we go down for breakfast. I would not eat my breakfast sometimes. I don't eat lumpy porridge. And that's how it was. I could be sick to my stomach just looking at it. And they forced me to eat that, and I wouldn't. I starved. I know what it feels like to starve, to have to do without. And to this day, I can still do that, even though I just went for 1 year. I can do without a lot of things. Maybe it's good in a way that I'm like that. I'm not a very demanding person. That, oh, I want this, I want that, I want to go get this right now. I'll go to McDonald's right now and go get a burger. No. You learn to refrain from all of that. There'll come a time when you can do that. But you learn not to do things. So all day long, I would sit there in that room where we have our breakfast. They tried to make me eat that. They tried to make me eat blood sausage. To this day, when I see blood sausage, it just about makes me sick. I would not eat it. I would not eat it. And if it was put in front of me, if that's the last food I had today, I would not eat it. I would do without. I do believe that one upstairs would take care of me, that I'm not starving. I'm not hungry. But as time goes on, you know, we got to play in a banister. Sometimes we're not supposed to, but we did. The older girls would be in the kitchen, making supper or making lunch, getting things ready for the rest of us. They'd be in the gardens picking, well, it's fall time now. They'd be picking vegetables and whatever else was growing out there. They would feed the animals, the cows, the pigs, the chickens, the little farm that we had. So they all had little jobs like that. But for us, my age group, we didn't have jobs like that. We just lived in the moment. I don't even know if I went to school. Didn't seem like I went to school. I don't remember. I don't remember having any textbooks in front of me, learning my ABCs or anything. The last thing I remember is my mom teaching me all of that. She read the Bible to us every day. She taught us the Bible teachings and that. And I remember she taught us all our ABCs, 1, 2, 3, add, subtract, multiply, divide, all of that. My mom taught me that. I can remember those. But being in the residential school, I don't remember if I went to school. I remember in the fall time that we would go and pick berries up in the mountains. We called them the mountains. If you've ever gone to Spanish Blind River area, there's a lot of rock in that area. That's where we would go and pick medicine. And they would have blueberries. This time the blueberries are out. We go and pick blueberries. We have to be mindful that we don't get caught eating the blueberries, or we'd be in big trouble again. We get in trouble for anything. To them, in their eyes, we're doing wrong. You can't have this, you can't have that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, what are we supposed to do? We're like little soldiers, little tin soldiers walking around. So we'd misbehave and do those things anyway, because our bodies are hungry for that. That's our medicine. Those are our medicines. We remember that as Anishinaabe people. Oh, I so miss those blueberries, Leora. The gift of blueberries that Leora usually gives me. I'm so grateful for those. Once you eat those, it's like you fill your spirit. You fill your spirit in a good way, your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. It cleanses everything. And to be told you can't eat those, that's not right. And we used to have a place over there in the mountains where we would get our meat, where they would store the food in that, where they would store lots of meat to last all winter in there. It'd be so cold over there, I guess. That's where the storage place was. We didn't have refrigerators in those days to store food like that. Like we have today in the supermarkets and at home. We got all kinds of stuff at home. We didn't have that. So whatever was put in front of you, you had to eat that. And if you didn't eat it, you do without. You go to bed hungry. You're starving. That I know what it feels like. So much at that point that you missed your own people, that you missed your own food, missed your mom's cooking, and you couldn't have that. If you wanted seconds, you always got seconds. Over there, no. Whatever was put in front of you, that's all you got. Either you eat it or you don't. You do without, and then you'll be in trouble. When I say in trouble is that, we have a tuck shop where we go once a week to get some goodies from home. We never got much mail or anything like that, but our supply of a box, I should call it a shoebox full of goodies. would come. There again, if I was in trouble, I didn't eat my food, I could not go into my box. You watch all the other children, all the other kids eating their pop, their chips, their chocolate bars, anything. Or they have nice little mitts in there, or they got brand new toothbrush, things like that. And how we envied them. But it seems like, if you got into trouble over something, you missed a whole week of not getting into your shoebox to get a taste of what it feels like to eat candy. As fall time goes, it's starting to get cold out. And then the winter's coming. We have to all wear our winter coats out, our winter coats and boots, our winter clothes. And we would be also coming down the fire escape, great big pole. We would come down the fire escape, second floor. I could not do that. They couldn't make me come down the fire escape. I guess if the school burnt down, I guess I would have burnt down with it. So the older girls, they would go down for me and pretend it was me that went down. They didn't have to do that, but they did for me. They never found out that they did it for me. But I tried so hard, I could not do it. So to this day, I feel heights. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I feel heights. I feel it. CN Tower, I got stuck up there with a hot dog in my hand and a drink. I got stuck. That's just an example. But to be flying in an airplane, that is a wonderful feeling up there. That's another. I have no problem flying. I can fly. I think, I'm from the bird clan, so I can fly. So it feels wonderful to be up there and walking around, looking out and that. But coming back to the residential school life, it's the winter is coming on now, and the Christmas time is coming on. Children are going home for holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas time. I could see them walking across the waterways, or there's a boat that comes across. If there's no ice on the water, they'll go by boat in October. Or Remembrance Day, they'll go home. I never knew where they lived. I never knew. I thought, I wish I could go with them. I wish I could go home like them. But I don't even know where I am. I don't even know where they're going. So I stayed. I stayed at the school. Wishful thinking. My brother's at home. Missed my brother, my little brother. That's the big losses in a person's life at the age of 8. And at 5 years old, I've already had a big loss. Is when my dad died. 3 years later, I'm lost. Placed someplace. That's another big loss. Those are ones that's really difficult to deal with. But you find that strength to deal with them. Like we're talking over 60 years ago now. I'm talking about over 60 years for myself. Winter time, people had skates. People had toboggans. We had no big hills to play on. Like I talk about that mountain, but that's quite a ways. We can't just go over there anytime we want. We had to be told when to go and when not to go. That only we were watched like dogs. You can't go stray. You can't go running over there. Play in the woods there. You couldn't do that like you did at home. You're free to roam. I never got in trouble. When Mom called, we always knew it's time for supper. But with the children going across and coming back, they always came back after visiting. And how you long to be one of them too, but you can't. Because, like I said, we didn't know where we were. And they would ice skate. We would play on the ice with our boots on, our winter boots. I don't even know where I got my winter boots. I had winter boots. I don't even know where I got them things. They must have been supplied at the school. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. I had boots to keep my feet covered. And across the way was the boys' school. The boys from my community were there. They were about my age, maybe a little bit older, some of them. But some of them ran away. They didn't like how they were treated there. They would be put away in darkness and that. They had their heads shaved off because of whatever it is that they did or whatever happened. And they never talked about it. Those men from my community never talked about it. They're all in the spirit world now. They took it with them. And their families are left here. They don't know. It hurts them when they hear my story, when I tell my story and tell them, this is where I went and this is where your brothers were. And I want you to know that today. I says, I could not even go up to your brothers. I so missed my own brother. I just wanted to hold their hand or give them a hug or have them give me a hug. You so missed that. We didn't get that. We didn't get no love there. The love that you need. The love from your parents, the love from your mom, your aunties, uncles, your siblings, your neighborhood, your community, my community. Never got there because you're over there. They don't have time for that. They didn't make time for it. Never got the hugs. So we're hugless people now. We don't know how to hug. We don't know how to say I love you. That's where that comes from. But I can say that real easy now. I love you. And mean it from my heart, from my mind to my heart, to you, to all nations. But it's something that this person has to work on. And Winter has, we used to go to the boys' school, as I was saying, we went to the boys' school, we get called over there that they were going to have a play, they would have a play, or they would have musical night, where the boys would play their instruments. If they had their guitar, they would sing songs. That was them sitting over there, the girls were sitting over here. There was never no close contact like that. No bond at all. What kind of a message is that giving us, that they gave us for doing that? It's like they're plagued, we're plagued. I might give you medicine that you don't need if I touch you, or vice versa. I don't know what goes on in people's minds, but it's not healthy. It's not a healthy relationship. So these young men grow up like that. They have children of their own, but it's still that I love you piece is not there, it's missing. But we go there, we leave there, you just go like this to the boys that, that was it. You don't dare get caught or you're going to be in big trouble if you were to go near one of them. It's not like now. When you see someone, you just go right up to that person. Ask them, hi, how are you? Give them that smile that they need. Say, I've been thinking of you. How you doing? It's so easy to do that now. Well, we're cut off from all of that. We're stripped of everything. We're stripped of our clothes, stripped our hair, stripped of our language, our culture, our heritage. But some of us didn't lose that. We carried it on. When the springtime come, springtime, snow is starting to melt. We're stuck inside the school most of the time. We play outdoors a little bit in that because we could also get wet for making snowmans and things like that. Then we'd be in big trouble because our mitts were all soaking wet, like snowballs. There again, just playing in the 3 flights of stairs, the banister and that. Going up, sneaking around, looking around, see what there is. Just, you know how children are. They want to see everything. They want to figure out what's this over here, what's in there. You don't dare bump into one of the nuns or you're going to be in trouble for sure. For somehow they must got 4 eyes in the back of their heads because they sure know we were misbehaving or somebody was telling on us. And as the spring rolled along, the planting season started. The older children, the older kids, they would be planting seeds and that, taking care of the animals again. This is an all year-round thing, taking care of the animals, feeding them, cleaning them up, cleaning up everything that's around them. So they're living in a good way too. It's really hard to be in a place like that. I would never send my children to a place like that. And I was mentally, physically, emotionally abused in the system. Spiritually abused, but not sexually abused. The sexual abuse came in with my sisters. My middle sister was 6 years in there. She was mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually and sexually abused. So was my oldest sister that went for 10 years. They were abused in many ways. That my sister was lost, my middle sister was lost. I never seen my oldest sister. She was already gone to Kenora by the time I entered the place. Never knew her, never saw her. My middle sister, she ended up in the hospital. I didn't know where she was. They would not tell me. I cried and I cried because I know I would see her around when I looked around and that I'd see my sister over there someplace. But there was a period of our life I did not see her. And I began to wonder, where is my sister? Where is she gone? Where have they taken her? So I cried and I cried and I cried. So they finally had to give in on me. They finally told me that she's in the hospital. I cried and I cried some more and cried some more and that. They finally had to take me to the hospital and see my sister for real. To see with my own eyes that she was still alive, that she was still here. So it wasn't until I saw her that I felt good inside my heart, in my mind, in my spirit. She told me not to worry and that she will be back soon. She had polio, my sister had polio. So that's why she was in there. But in the meantime, all this stuff, other stuff was happening to her too. The sexual abuse part was really horrendous for her. It was very difficult place to be all through her lifetime. Till her passing years to the spirit world. So when that happened, I finally knew I was able to move forward by myself in the school. By then, I was getting comfortable in the place. I've been there, 6 months now, I think? Not knowing one day to the next where what day it is or anything like that. So springtime, summertime. Summertime is coming now. Everybody gets to go home. Everybody's talking. They want to go home. Then I thought to myself, I wonder if I'm going home. I was not even thinking about it until they mentioned it, that they're planning to go home now. It's going home time. People be going home. Some were lucky to go home, some were not. One of the nuns that treated me well and that, she said, I'll take you home if your mom doesn't come for you, if she doesn't send a ticket. We're poor people. My mom managed to get money to bring me home for the summer and never have to go back in the fall time. She made sure I did not go back to the school. So I was grateful for that. Grateful to be coming home. After not seeing my mom for a whole year, my brother for a whole year, I didn't know who they were. You start to forget. You start to forget your language because there's really nobody to speak to. And that's just how it is today. I still speak my language, but it's very hard to find someone to speak the language with that speaks the same language as I do. Many of them are gone, and many of our people that have gone to residential school don't know their language. Sometimes I go in my community and I'll say, Ani, Anishna, which means, hi, how are you today? They have no clue in what I'm saying. He says, I don't understand you. Oh my goodness, I says, I didn't know you didn't know how to speak the language. I said, no, I don't. I'm sorry. It just blows me away. People around my age too. They don't know. And yet our children are learning it at a very young age. Daycare centers to high school. They learn the native language. But when they come home, they can't speak to their parents. The parents don't know how. Or they just don't want to go and learn how to speak the language with their children, which is sad. When I come home from Spanish, I was put on a train. I arrived in Old Sound in June after being away for 1 year. Of course, I had my funny haircut. I was like, when I come home to my own home, I was really grateful. I didn't know my surroundings. I didn't know my house. I didn't remember what my house looked like or anything like that. I didn't even know if I belonged there, even though my mom treated me well and my brother treated me well. When I went to school, all summer long, I guess I should say, after I come home in June, played summertime and that. I didn't have anybody to play with. Nobody wanted to play with me. My own community of Anishinaabe people didn't want to play with me. They knew who I was. They knew where I came from. That's just that I was away for a whole year and come back with a funny haircut. That was the hard part, to deal with my people, to that I was being treated like that all summer long. After that, went to school in September. I did not fit in the school system. It was a school system that was on reserve here in our community. We had day schools. Well, that's another issue there with day school, with us being treated the same way as we did in the residential school system. Being hit with the ruler, being made to stand in the corner for a long time, not allowing you to go to the outhouse. as badly as you needed to go, they would not let you. So it's not any different, really. And there again, I didn't know whether I belonged in that school because nobody played with me. I was an outcast. It even broke my bike. My brand new bike my mom had bought me. My mom probably worked hard to make ends meet in order for me to have that new bike. Broke my bike. Cried all the way home. It took me a long, long time to fit into my community. I didn't know whether I belonged in Southern First Nation or do I live on the outside the reserve with the white people, the colored people, and white people, and all nations, or where on earth do I belong? That's exactly how I felt. I felt I didn't belong anywhere. Just a living being, living from day to day. So finally, the children at school started to play with me, one by one. And I was so upset with the way I was being treated that I failed my grade that year. I didn't pass. And they all laughed at me because of that. And lo and behold, I really worked hard and I caught up and I passed it. And from there, they all failed that year. And I moved on. And that's the way it's been for me in all my life. I've excelled in everything that I've done. I went to day schools in my community. The same treatment you get there as you do in a residential school. Same treatment you get when you're in children's aid society or any place like that where they keep you outside your home. You're being mistreated in many ways. It does not matter. It does not matter where they put you. You're going to be abused. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually abused. That's why many people are sick. They can't even begin to talk about these things. We never talked about them things many, many years ago. These things are just something that's just starting to come out. I thank Leora for opening this door, that we are capable of talking about these pieces to let people know this is exactly the truth. This is what happened to us. The memories that people have, they keep it well hidden in their minds unless they work with it. We have to find that strength that we need to let go and forgive what has been done to me this one. I found it in my heart and in my mind and my spirit. With the spirituality that I have, that I was able to do all of that pieces. As much as I tried to help my sisters, they were where they were at, with their alcohol, drugs. I was there too with the alcohol, but I didn't go into drugs or anything like that. They never had such a thing in my time. I didn't stay in alcohol scene for a very long period of my life. That came to an end, stopped, because my spirituality was much stronger. My Jamnado, Takmakwa, my Creator, Mother Earth, and ancestors are really strong with me. In my heart and in my mind and in my spirit. That's why I have made it through this life. It wasn't easy. I've worked at many jobs as a young person, worked as a domestic person, washed windows, picked tobacco, worked in the kitchen, washing pots and pans. I did all of that. Then I got, and as an older person, as a teenager, you get a summer job. So I looked at those things too. And everything that I did, I learned something. I'm grateful for my auntie for taking me to work when she went to work. Or else I wouldn't know how to make bed today. Or I wouldn't know how to scrub the floor or clean pots and pans. Those life skills are very important. Start from the bottom of the barrel and work your way up like I did. Not much money, but put food on the table for us. Paid for the little bills that we had. I guess maybe that's, I feel that's something that is missing in our lives today with our children, our grandchildren. We're not teaching them things like that, how difficult it can be, the life can be. But you have to work at it from day school to high school, going to business college, getting a job, a terry government job. From there, coming back to my community, working in offices in my community, worked in welfare, worked in housing, worked in administration, worked closely with the chief and council, day-to-day operations, until I decided to go with the police service. And I spent over 20 years there, which I am grateful for. I have so much pride, so much love for our officers. They're not giving that love that they should be given by us people. There are breathed living beings too. They do their job. They are trained, just like I was trained to be a secretary, a business secretary, executive secretary, to know everything about the law. I was trained for all that, to know how to do payroll. I've done all of that, but I had to be trained. So are the officers. They're doing their job. Maybe we have a bad apple in some time in all places, but they can be dealt with also. It's like anyone else, we're all human. We're not perfect. But to excel from where I was in my little childhood days, from the time I was in my mom's womb to the age I'm at in my 70s, all the good things I have done to people, all the nice things that not have happened to me, they're all in there. And the road that I walked one time in my life is here. I had to come back on the good side of life here. And this is where I am now, walking with Geminido, Creator, Mother Earth, and the ancestors. I'm grateful for that. They have taught me a lot. And I'm grateful for all the churches that I have attended. The interfaith churches that I attended in Toronto. That really filled my heart and my soul. I learned a lot from those places. And if I had a chance, I'd go again. Where it was by invitation that we ended up going there one year as a group that I belong to. That we have ceremonies and gatherings and in prayer for 4 days. We were invited to the Interfaith Fellowship. That was an awesome time. So they have helped me to be the person that I am today. So I'm really grateful for that. And all the things, all the struggles and everything that has come into my life, it's finding that balance, coming back to the balance of things, the balance. Sometimes the not so good things overweigh. The good things are powerful, but they'll come together after a while. And from all of that, we have lessons to learn. But with all the things that have happened, we all had to learn from those mistakes. And if we didn't, We take them to our grave with us. And going back to this forgiveness part, we had to say, please forgive me for all the things that I have done to you, or that's been done to me. Give it, and mean it, never to go back again. So I say, Miigwech, for listening to me. And in my background, like I said, there's my 4 colors that have been given to me with the 7 teachings and that. And it represents everything that I know today and everything that I walk with. I don't talk about other people's experiences because that belongs to them. I can only share with you what I experience and those little heartaches that I carry that are not big heartaches anymore. Because I love my people, all nations, and I walk with them each and every day. So in closing, I'll sing a song. And I thank you all for listening to me. May it help you find the strength that you need each and every day. This song is for the grandmother. It's a grandmother song. It's from the East Coast. And all those grandmothers that have gone on to the spirit world, I ask them each and every day, and the grandmas and the grandpas, the aunties and the uncles, to come help me, to come help our people, to come help all nations each and every day. It's what I do every morning when I pray. I sit in prayer. I not only pray for myself, I pray for all nations. So this is a grandmother song. Think about your grandma. Think about all those grandmas that have gone on, and think about those grandmas that are getting ready to pass over. They have taught us a lot, and we just take all the goodness that they have taught us and keep that with us in our hearts, in our minds, and in our spirits. This song is usually sung 4 times, but I'll do it only to the east, the morning sun, and where it sets in the west, where our ancestors are, that teach us each and every day. But it encompasses all the 4 directions. Grandmother sitting in the east, I feel you looking at me. I pray to you, pray for you, you are sacred. I feel you looking at me. Grandmother sitting in the west, I feel you looking at me. I pray to you, pray for you, you are sacred. I feel you looking at me. I feel you looking at me. Grandmother sitting in my heart, I feel you looking at me. I pray to you, pray for you, you are sacred. I feel you looking at me. Creator, God, Jesus, light of light, Buddha, the one that gives us breath of life. I give thanks for your many blessings today that you have given to us. Grandmother sitting in the sky, I feel you looking at me. I pray to you, pray for you, you are sacred. I feel you looking at me. I feel you Miigwech, thank you. Thank you for hearing me today. Bless each and every one of you as you continue your journey from this day on. Blessings to each and every one. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Miigwech, 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 miigwech.
Miigwech to you, Elder Shirley. Miigwech for sharing and speaking your truth, speaking truth for us to hear and receive. Miigwech means thank you, and we are full of gratitude for all that you shared with us today. We're in virtual spaces these days, and yet you have this very powerful ability to come through the screen. And I feel that I'm sitting right with you, and yet I wish I could actually be there and hold your hand and sit with you. I know that this is a lot. This takes a lot out of you, and so I wish I could be there. I wish I could, yes, bring you blueberry pies and treats and blueberries as I always did. But someday soon we will all come together and we will have a blueberry feast together and celebrate again in person. You've tasked us with something that's so important. You've given us a responsibility to continue to learn, and to, when we read the news, we have a responsibility to remember that that the voices of the people, the young children, the babies who went and were taken to these schools. And your voice is one of those voices of those stolen children who were taken away and put in these schools. Elder Theodore Fontaine talks about incarceration. These were not schools. You yourself said, you don't remember a book. Where were the books? This wasn't a school. So we don't even have the proper vocabulary to really talk about this. But now that we have heard your story, as Jen said, let's use our voice. Let's take action. Let's do what we can to stand up and to ensure that these stories are not forgotten and that they truly motivate us to create change and get involved. So just again, deep gratitude to you, Shirley, on behalf of myself and Jen and the Harold Green Jewish Theater, and to all of us who are listening to this program. Miigwech, miigwech, miigwech. And I will pass this back to David and Avery to close the program.
Thank you, Elder Shirley, for speaking with such detail about your painful past with the residential schools.
And thank you, Jen Green and Leora Schaefer, for bringing us Elder Shirley for that illuminating, important conversation.
As Jews, this history resonates with us in profound ways. Man's inhumanity to man and the feeling of always being the other.
And we also share the big questions like how to let go and forgive while still making sure our stories must never be forgotten.
As Elder Shirley sang her chant and beat her drum, she summoned up a prayer for all nations to learn from our past so that we can all move forward through our heart, our mind, and spirit.
So we leave you all with thanks in two words that celebrate peace, shalom, and miigwech.